You have an investment. Any particular asset will do. You keep your money in it, hoping that this will rise over time. Then one day something changes, and that asset is taken away from you, or its value drops to zero. These are the risks that we take. It's just salt in the wound, however, when a group takes it from you, then makes a huge profit from it, then boasts about it. You came here for the truth. Today, we are going to look at various issues. I want to begin with Northern Rock. The government has a moral justification to pay billions of pounds in compensation to people who lost money when Northern Rock was nationalized at the start of the credit crunch. This is very important to note because there is a lot of talk about the fragility of the banking system, and we are not talking about just the Eurozone. This goes for the entire global financial system. When you nationalize a bank, you put it under your protection, but ultimately what you are doing is saying that the taxpayers will have to foot the bill. It was 10 years ago that Northern Rock, which had expanded too fast and taken on too much mortgage debt, was forced to go to the Bank of England for emergency financial assistance. They were the lender of last resort in this case, and they had to act accordingly, and they were able to basically print up some money and make this happen. That's what banks do. When a financial establishment gets into too much debt, the average person or the individuals in the financial system all gather together. They all have this idea that this is okay, that Keynesian economics is okay and will not cause any problems. This here shows you that this is unsustainable, that too much debt does cause a problem. It might take a lot of debt to get there, but it's a fact. There have been bank runs before in history, and while this happened to be the first British bank in 150 years to experience a bank run, it has gone on in other cities as well, other countries as well. You've seen this taking place, the long lines, the civil unrest, everything else. So, what is going to happen? Well, in this case here, when the bank was subsequently nationalized, at least 160,000 shareholders lost their investments. So I'll get into the next article here before I start ranting on about it. Thousands of Northern Rock shareholders were wiped out when the bank was nationalized almost a decade ago. They're renewing their campaign for compensation, arguing that the government is set to make billions of pounds in profit from this bailout. This is what these type of institutions do. Somebody made the executive decision that the Bank of England would have to step in, that the government would step in, and they would do whatever it takes to make sure that the financial system doesn't collapse. And so they decided to nationalize this bank. Well, the shareholders didn't have a choice in the matter. They basically were, unfortunately, screwed over. But that's, as I said at the beginning, that's the risks we take. We shouldn't have this type of insurance on our banks as far as I'm concerned, because individuals then are there thinking that they are able to not have to worry about what banks do, and their reserve requirements can drop lower and lower and lower. They're only a couple %, and that's okay because there's insurance, but we should hold them accountable. If we see that the reserves go below 100%, all of a sudden we should start taking our money out. And that's the way it should be. But that's not the way most people think about it. They simply just leave their money in there and say, look, the central bank's going to take care of me. They are my mommy, they are my daddy. The move comes only days before the 10th anniversary of Northern Rock, which produced some of the most memorable images of the financial crisis. Customers queued outside its branches to withdraw their money. So they're trying to get their money back. I'm saying that the way I look at it is that as a shareholder, you take a risk. If that stock were to go to zero, you took a risk. You can't expect the government to step in and help you out. And that goes for any asset. The problem is that the government and the financial institutions already have so much power within the system. They all are already manipulating it. So if you were to just say, okay, just pull everything out, then all of a sudden everything would crash. Well, you can't really do it in that way. You have to basically wean their control off and let this happen in a natural way. It wouldn't take that long, but you can't just necessarily end it all in a day with the stroke of a pen. So what I see with this here is that the fragility within the financial system is present. It hasn't left. In fact, it's gotten a lot worse. And this tells us the lesson that too much debt does cause a problem, and your assets are at a risk no matter where they are, as long as these establishments have their hands all over them. So there's more in here, but I think you know where I'm getting at. Basically, much of the 37 billion was rescued. Apparently, the Treasury is able to grab most of this back, and they're saying, look, they're making money, billions and billions off of this. At the same time, the shareholders didn't get a single dime. So that's what's going on anyway. I just think it's interesting to talk about bank runs to begin with. The feds collected record taxes through August, still run, guess what, a $673 billion deficit. That shouldn't surprise me. I continuously do this. CNS News generally covers this information, but it is public information, of course. But generally, CNS News every single month will write articles like this, and you'll see over and over and over, they collect a record amount of taxes, yet the deficits increase. And sure, there are little blips along the way, and I say this every single time, but overall, that's what's happening. More money comes in, yet more money leaves. That's the way it works. Let's move on. We're talking about volatility here with this particular hedge fund manager. Optically, volatility is still very low, but the fear is increasing. And he pulls up a chart, and it shows that in the months beyond the 30-day period measured by the VIX index, investors were expecting some violent moves to come in the stock market. Betting against the flare-up of such turmoil has been one of the longest running and most profitable trades in recent financial history. The VIX has been persistently low now ever since the financial crisis. It's been dipping lower and lower, and you can see it generally over the past several years anyway. You'll see it that it's basically at the very bottom. This could change in an instant, not just because it's historically low, but also because of all the issues that have been brought to light just in the recent past. So we have to keep our eyes, if you're into the technicals, on the VIX. VIX is key. All right, look at this. Now, there was one company here that was blocked from actually being purchased. I thought it was interesting because it was a Chinese company, and they blocked it, saying that's a potential U.S. security clearance problem. They are could put the nation at risk. I think it's a good thing. That not necessarily with this deal here or with this trade at all. I'm just talking about this in general. That the government should have a say in protecting the people. Wouldn't that be a great thing? That the government would protect the people. And so, if that's actually a real thing, and you know, we are told that they're always trying to protect us, and of course that's usually not the case, but if it is good for once, then I'm all for it. That's the purpose of the government, to be there to protect our rights, not to, I won't even go there. But I think that this could be good. I haven't done enough research onto this particular company. So then right here, the Kaspersky antivirus, they have basically ordered to be removed from all these government computers because of the tensions obviously going on right now. They're worried about security risks and everything else. I just thought that was interesting as well. Let's move on here. Last but not least, Never let a good crisis go to waste. Everybody knows the Godfather himself, Rahm Emanuel, ramps up his campaign fundraising toward a possible third term as he continues to rely on donors that have received City Hall benefits. Oh, he's not the only one, of course. Ranging from contracts and zoning approvals to appointments and personal endorsements from the mayor, the Chicago Tribune has found. So he collected $3 million in high dollar contributions, and more than $2 million of it, nearly 70%, has come from 83 donors who have benefited from the actions of City Hall. Do you live in this area? Because if you do, you can shake this gentleman's hand and congratulate him for profiting off of you. That's the way this works. People who get into positions of power will abuse it. I'm sure whatever city you live in, whatever state or province or region you live in, this exact same thing happens. It happens every single time. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well. And last but not least, if you found the video informative, I know you'll find my books, The Money GPS, and my newer release, Global Economic Collapse, even more informative. You can flip through these books at Amazon. They have a look inside feature that will allow you to do that. The first book is about the 4 asset classes and how to profit from them. I get into the historical as well as the foundation. And the newer book takes on familiar concepts, but I also get into things like becoming self-sufficient, how to earn income, and so much more. So you can check those out at Amazon. Links are in the description below. Take care.